G'day, I'm Ash, and this is the Mig15bis ISH thing. It's got rocket pods, and it is an interesting jet to say the least. It's not the greatest thing, and in my honest opinion, this thing is the worst tier 5 premium jet you could possibly get your hands on. And let's go through that. So, let's jump into some gameplay. Welcome to Mig Alley. Now, I'm in the Mig15bis ISH, and well, we're going to take off here. And I don't mind this aircraft. It's not the best, but as you can see here, top tier match. This thing is 9.0, and I got shoved at 10.0, but that is a common thing, especially with these new premium vehicles. Now, I know it's been a couple of weeks since this vehicle has been out, and not seeing very many of them in queue, that's alright. But this particular MiG-15 has designs with two massive weapons pylons on each wing. Each of them can carry 300 kilogram bombs or 3 8-tube rocket launchers mounted one behind the other. Now, the rockets could be fired against an aerial target from the launchers mounted in the front, so that the fighter could use 16 rockets. But against ground targets, all 6 launchers could depress by 15 degrees while the fighter was in level flight, and fire the rockets simultaneously. Therefore, it was a clever arrangement, but there was not really an appropriate sight for making an accurate rocket fire possible. Now, it's obliquely fired rockets from a jet fighter, which means that the dispersion and unpredictable ballistics would have been impressive, but I suppose if you fired enough of them at close range and managed to avoid getting hit by rockets coming back at you, it might work. Well, here's the thing. In warthunder, it's a bit odd. You've got a lot of ammunition choices with this particular vehicle. You can have 45 S5 unguided rockets, 8 high-caliber 212mm S1s, and a few bombs, 6 100kg bombs, 4 250kg bombs, or 2 500kg bombs, which are high explosive. So there's a lot of diversity here. As well as this MiG-15, which also consists of 2 23mm cannons and 1 37mm cannon. It certainly packs a punch, that's for sure. Is it as good as its regular counterpart, the MiG-15? No. And the reason why is it's extra heavy. Those extra pylons give a lot of drag coefficiency, and the aircraft is really sluggish in a turn, which means pulling off those head-ons, where you've got to move just slightly out the way to avoid an aircraft, or you're pulling off those really neat shots if you've got someone on your 6, can be really troublesome. Anyway, here we go. We're going to go on the prime example of why I dislike the angle of attack here. You can't see exactly where you're aiming. So again, I'm just having to spam. I was actually quite lucky there. Those shots could have missed, but the main frame of the aircraft is in the way. As I stated before, the aircraft doesn't have a way of making accurate rocket fire possible. It's basically just spray a particular area. Now, I get why they wanted to do this, the Soviets that is. They wanted to reuse some of the existing MiG-15s they had, and it makes perfect sense. So to utilise a vehicle that, requires you to think in a close support environment makes complete sense. But jets require players to really conserve their energy, and the window of opportunity is smaller because of how high speeds are. So if you're going to use this against a tank, for example, it could be problematic, although the 8 rockets I've got strapped underneath have quite a high explosive radius, so it's not too much of an issue with these, but the 48 rockets, or maybe the bombs, they could prove a little bit of an issue. Regardless, the Mig15bis ISH actually has the same guns as a normal MiG-15. The standard MiG-15 has better 23mm guns with more burst mass, which is interesting. But at the same time, with all that weight, it makes this aircraft a little annoying, to say the least. Controlling the aircraft is it's a very straight line jet. There's no way about it. It's not as maneuverable as its counterpart. I think this is one of the reasons why it is possibly, if not the worst tier 5 premium jet you could pick up. I'd argue that the Javelin is actually better because it can actually turn. It's got, it's got less armament overall, and the Sabre is just an amazing vehicle as is, in terms of aircraft-wise. because it's a versatile aircraft and can turn in some engagements and is multi-role, whereas it seems like they've tried to make this a close air support vehicle and that's it. So trying to get it to do more than what you'd want it to do, of course in the hands of an experienced player it'd be fantastic, but when you're opening your wallet to buy this for the first time, to grind out some of those top-end jets, you probably won't have the experience necessary. Like, I certainly am not the greatest player, and this is probably why I hate this vehicle the most. Now, I did get this vehicle given to me by Gigabyte for a 30-day test drive. I've still got 6 days left on the aircraft. However, it seems to be too easy and accessible. It's a bit like a buy-in battle rating strikes again, similar to the XM1. The Sabre premium jet is fantastic at what it does. It's got a unique camouflage, it's got, you know, ridiculous rockets. I say ridiculous, it's basically another Sabre, but you can buy into it. Now, a while ago I was under the assumption that Gigabyte would never put in top tier premiums. Well, that obviously changed. And I was under the assumption that 1.85 would also just be purely about Italian tanks, and that supersonic jets and, you know, these new premium jets wouldn't be introduced until they got their own patch well into like the next couple of months into 2019. Bit odd there. So why they didn't choose a different vehicle instead of this particular aircraft, it beats me. I mean, this aircraft is probably even worse than the Javelin, and, well, the Javelin's got its own issues. Granted, with any experienced pilot, you'll be able to pull this aircraft off like no other. Hell, I'd love to see Splitfire and maybe, you know, Napalm and various other YouTubers who could pull off, you know, a great feats of achievement. Even players trying to get kills with the undermounted rockets, that's air-to-air kills, that'd be fantastic to see. I just don't have the skill base for that, mainly because I spend most of my time in super props and below, and I love spending time, you know, in aircraft that actually really matter. I do apologise that was my Discord. Regardless, we nailed that F86 there, and we're just going to continue hammering it down. I probably should check my 6 here. Regardless, we're just going to keep gaining some speed. And the problem with adding these particular high-tier premium jets is the fact that people can just buy their way right up to top tier. And at the thought of players being able to get jets immediately just discomforts me. As someone who's been playing the game for a very, very long time, grinding my arse off for top-tier vehicles. Hell, I still don't have all the jets in Russia yet. It really, really irritates me. And the fact that there's only 3 supersonic, or should I say 2.5 supersonic jets in War Thunder, it really irks me, because they really need to stop the nonsense of excluding some nations from certain mechanics. Britain needs helicopters, France needs helicopters, Italy needs helicopters. Granted, helicopters are an issue of its own. There needs to be the finished off tech trees with the naval trees. Hell, there are still World War II and post-war aircraft up until the Korean War, which could be added, including, you know, various Cold War bombers and jets. Bombers need rework. There's HD cockpits. I'd like to see rework of the in-game UI. There is so much they could be doing. And it's only going to get worse as the game progresses. And while it's fantastic to have new jets, and I'm having a fantastic time playing my MiG-19, I can't recommend this jet for several reasons. It's something slightly worse than its regular counterpart. It is mainly designed for close air support and is heavy and slow compared to other fighters. So do I recommend this vehicle to you? No. Step 1, don't buy it. Step 2, put a talisman on either a Yak-30 or a Mig-17, or a tier 4 plane if you are at that particular research. It's an odd vehicle. It'll be very effective for those who really know how to use it, but otherwise it's an oddity, and I can see why Gigabyte have it as a premium, but at its current state right now, and with only 1 supersonic jet in game, I don't think it's really currently worth the value that it seeks to be. Anyway guys, that's just my opinion. I hope you enjoyed. My name's Ash, and I'll catch you in the next one. Give me my CAC Sabre, please. Christ. That's a top tier British premium you could add.